Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to the Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Today, our guest is Jim. Jim, how are you doing today?
Doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Awesome. So, Jim, can you please let me know where you live and what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Jim Kennemer. I'm the founder and managing director of Cosmo Sourcing. I live in Madison, Wisconsin. And yeah, Cosmo Sourcing is a full service sourcing company that helps clients find factories in Vietnam, Southeast Asia, Mexico, and China.
Awesome. So, Jim, can you let us know a little bit more about the company, and can you let me know what was the biggest inspiration to start this business?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Cosmo Sourcing, like we said, is a product sourcing company. Yeah, we were founded in 2012 in China, 2014 in Vietnam, and have since expanded to several other countries. Yeah, as a product sourcing company, we've helped literally thousands of clients find manufacturers in Vietnam, elsewhere for their products. But yeah, I mean, the biggest inspiration for me to start, I was actually living in Shanghai in 2012 and 2013 as well. And just being in Shanghai, being in China, I had kind of contacts and friends and associates reach out to me about finding products for them or visiting factories and doing QC work for them just on the side. I was working on a related job. So yeah, I spent about a year doing that just as kind of more or less a side hustle. And then, yeah, ultimately excited to actually quit my job. Technically started sourcing as Hartford Outdoor Sports Supply, then focus on the outdoor industry, and then, yeah, kind of expanded to a general sourcing company.
So, can you let me know what are your core responsibilities in your company? Because a founder may have a lot of responsibilities. So,
for sure,
can you please mention a few?
Yeah, as the founder, I mean, just in day to day, it's really kind of my primary job actually is more sales, client onboarding, and marketing aspect more than actually operations. We have a team in Vietnam and then associates throughout several other countries who do the actual sourcing aspect of the job. So for me, I really kind of position myself kind of more as the face of the company and kind of, the first person that clients talk to and potential clients talk to, and, the one who does the Zoom calls, answer the emails, all that fun stuff.
Cool. So can you let us know a little bit about the marketing side, how you are managing the marketing? Are you doing the digital marketing or the offline marketing or the both?
Yeah, everything I do is organic. I've never actually paid a single dollar for paid marketing before, and that's been in business for over 10 years. Yeah, I mean, we have several, number one actually source of clients for us is actually referrals from other clients. I'm really kind of one of those big believers that if you do a good job, people talk about you. So we have several clients that, I don't know, they just, one or two are fairly active on Twitter and whatnot and kind of talk good about us, which is great. We obviously got pretty good reviews on everywhere. And that's kind of been our biggest driver. And then beyond that, we have a blog that has pretty good traffic that drives a decent amount of clients. And then we get referrals from other partners. So we have several kind of partner companies that, offer similar services and they kind of refer us clients. And there's that symbiosis where I also refer them clients too as they need it.
So other companies or the partners, you mean you do the referral partnerships with other companies?
Yeah, it's a mix of some paid, but most of the referral partnership is just I refer a client to you, you refer a client to me. So yeah, that kind of whatnot.
This makes sense. So Jim, this is really great if you are at the stage where you are able to get the clients with the word of mouth. Obviously, this means you are getting clients with the word of mouth. So let's say if a company is not at this stage where they can get the clients with the word of mouth, so what they should do? Obviously, you are not doing paid marketing.
I know. Yeah, it took me years to really build up to a point where I was comfortable. Like I said, when I first started, I was actually had a day job, and it's kind of a side hustle for me just to really get kind of my name and whatnot out. And yeah, when I first started, I quit my job after about a year after Cosmo was founded, and I was living pretty lean at the time. Actually, one of the motivations moved to Vietnam was just the cost of living. So when first year or so I lived in Vietnam, my monthly expenses for everything, food, rent, was about $600. Yeah, I was living in a $250 a month apartment, had roommates, So I mean, this definitely is kind of built up, but because it really does take time to really build up a reputation, to be honest. And, there were times very early on where I would have to do English tutoring or some other odd jobs just to get money coming in. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I really kind of, it took time to build up a network. One of the reasons I really focused on the outdoor industry is I used to be a whitewater rafting guide. So I knew a lot of owners and business owners of rafting companies and retailers too. So I was able to kind of more or less cold call them. Although I really had personal relationships with several of them. And they knew I was in China. So I was able to really find out who, their suppliers that they were buying from and then kind of bypass through the suppliers and go direct to the factories. So I was buying coordinated direct factory purchases for those clients. Yeah, it's really kind of hard because you really kind of do have to have a flexible business model early on and really just kind of figure out what the client wants and just kind of be adaptable at that stage. Like we definitely have a more rigid business model now, but we've been in business, like we said, over 10 years. And, we really kind of built a SOP that really kind of focuses on the client need and what they want, their expectation. Yeah, in the early days is really, just being adaptable and kind of understanding what the client wants and kind of using your existing network.
Yeah, this is something that business owners need to understand, that the success is not overnight. They have to understand.
Yeah, for sure.
And they have to put their day and nights as a night.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, the main thing for me is just get cash flow more than anything. But like I said, I was a project manager for a tech company from the first year, and I had some savings that lasted me for a little bit. But even then, like you're going through savings a lot, and then just being overseas, you can pick up English tutoring jobs and stuff like that fairly easily. So yeah, but it's definitely took me years and to really get to the point where I was comfortable financially with everything.
Makes sense. Awesome. So Jim, can you please guide us a little bit about the client onboarding process? How you onboard a client and what is the eligibility criteria of your clients?
Yeah, I mean, for eligibility, I mean, it really kind of varies because we do kind of, when we talk to them, there's definitely a discovery phone call, and it's just as much me seeing if they're a suitable client more than as well as if they want to sign up for our services. Because I mean, for us, you really kind of need to have a pretty defined business or purchase plan because a lot of people are pretty wishy-washy about what they want to source. And so we really kind of had to coach through the clients to really kind of dial down the product, really kind of get the specs and whatnot dialed down. So it's something that when we create RFQ for the factories, that is something that they would actually quote for, the factories will quote for, have appropriate MOQs and whatnot. The client onboarding process is relatively straightforward. I mean, you have a project initiation fee to start our service, a service agreement, a questionnaire for the clients that's more or less like the 10, 15-ish most frequently asked questions from factories, stuff. So we have that as a reference so we don't have to keep bothering the client. And then from there, they will send over like product spec sheets and tech packs of their products. And yeah, once you kind of have that, that's more or less the onboarding process. By the point we go to client onboarding, there's already been like 5-6 emails, a Zoom call or two and all that. Yeah, it probably takes an average from first contact to 2 weeks-ish to sign up a typical client.
So, Jim, can you guide me on one thing? In fact, this is for the everybody's understanding. Many companies, like your company, charge the initial fee to start the project. So, and I have seen many clients, or you can say the prospects, who are not willing to give any initial fee. So many companies do not even work with these type of clients who really don't want to give any initial fee. So can you put some light on the theory why you and many companies are charging initial fee?
I mean, just from experience, early in the days, like I said, I would take on several clients without charging a fee and kind of really do success based. But yeah, I mean, clients in that pace are pretty unreliable. Like we've had several clients not pay. So I mean, it's just kind of sets up that it's earnestness that they're real clients and not just fishing for information or planning on them not paying you. So I mean, it's all about, because if you don't charge an initial fee, I mean, you do like hours and hours and hours of service without any payback. And I mean, that's happened quite a bit. So it's, just make sure they're legit, honest clients.
Yeah, this is legit. Obviously, this is an important thing that if they are legit, because I think every company have faced these sort of problems who never charge. Really, this is something, I believe this is something to make them serious that now their skin is in the game.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. So can you please guide me a little bit about your goals, how you define your goals and what are your short-term goals, like maybe next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to have with the sourcing company, just with the tariffs and trade wars, it's hard to have goals. Like I had a whole 2025 plan that I had written out and then the trade wars and tariffs happened and I just kind of threw that out the window and been revising week to week, it seems like. So it's hard to have plans because, I mean, we're expanding like internationally. We've hired associates in Thailand, Indonesia, Mexico, China. We're looking at several other countries too, the Philippines. We actually have one in South Korea now and a few other countries to kind of expand our sourcing operations. And we still source pretty globally, but this really is kind of have more options for our clients to source from is kind of the big goal.
So Jim, there's one more thing. Many companies set their goals and after this, they are not able to cope up with those goals. So because they think there is pivot involved, like they might have to do the pivot. So on the go. And this happens in the business, this happens frequently that you have to pivot from one thing to another thing. So
Yeah.
do you think even these short-term or long-term goals are important to define or not?
Yeah, I think it's good to have ideas because I definitely have growth goals, which are more like 3-time short term. Yeah, I mean, every year I try to double my sales, for instance, and that's like a short, medium term goal. And then I have my long term goals, but yes, definitely you want to have like ideas of where you want to be and how to get there because you're not going to succeed if you don't have that, like a long term vision. Yeah, I mean, obviously we have like, yeah, definitely different levels of goals in terms of like double our client onboarding, double our number of clients every year, or whatnot, bend our team, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we definitely have, and yeah, you definitely have to have those types of goals, and then really kind of once you have the goals set in place, you figure out the steps that it takes to get you there, and what type of team you need, what type of SOPs you need, what type of operations, marketing, what channels you need to be on, stuff like that. So we definitely kind of work from the goal backwards and figure out the steps of where we are to where we want to be.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, Jim, for the encouragement for other entrepreneurs, let's talk about a little bit about the challenges because every entrepreneur faces challenges. Every business owner
Sure.
faces a new challenge every day. So, this thing do have the impact on the burnout rate as well. Many businesses just burn out because of the challenges, day-to-day challenges. So, can you share one of your biggest challenge or one of your interesting challenge, and what was that challenge, and how you were able to cope up with that challenge?
I mean, just within the last month or two, I mean, there's obviously huge reciprocal tariffs announced and tariffs on China now. So, I mean, that was kind of a huge challenge for us. Yeah. So, I mean, things happen like all of a sudden. Like, I mean, had to navigate through COVID because, you had tons of factories shut down. You had to coordinate with clients. So, yeah, I mean, challenges are just going to be an inevitable part of business, whether it's natural disaster or something else. You just really kind of need to make a plan and make sure, because there's points where obviously as business you want to thrive, but other times you guys just shift into survival mode. So yeah, I mean, yes, stuff happens all the time. And like I kind of said, the big thing for challenge is to be adaptable. Like obviously you have your rigid like business plans and like how you do things, but when trade war happens, you got to just figure out where is going to be more advantageous to source. So I mean, we were fortunate in that regard that we had operations in Vietnam pretty well established. So we were able to like move a lot of clients from China to Vietnam, for instance. But yeah, it's just be adaptable more than anything is probably the biggest advice for overcoming challenges.
So, were you thinking about changing, like from changing your business from China to Vietnam? Because obviously nobody knew that it will be reverted back or not. So, what was you thinking at that time?
I mean, I've been in Vietnam since 2014, so we're one of the most established sourcing companies in Vietnam already. So I mean, we already had everything pretty well set up. And at the time, like I started Cosmo in China in 2012, but just being in China, I mean, this is already super saturated with people sourcing from China, like other sourcing companies and agents like myself. And so for me, like I just needed a differentiator. And yeah, I visited Vietnam. Like no one's really set up in Vietnam to source from Vietnam. And at that time, so yeah, 2014, I decided make the big change and move from Shanghai to Vietnam and start sourcing from Vietnam. And yeah, as like I said, not that many people had Vietnam on the radar for products. There was no real trade incentive, like there was no tariffs, no free trade agreements or anything in place. So it was really just a matter of figuring out what handful of things Vietnam could make. But yeah, I mean, once the first trade war in 2019 started, like it was a huge shift. Like went from like 30% Vietnam, 70% China before to pretty much 80% Vietnam after. So yeah, at that point, I really kind of had a huge amount of demand. Started hiring a lot more hiring people for the team in Vietnam. And now we have a pretty well-established office and team. In effect, for about 6-7 years now. So yeah, I mean, it's just really just kind of every time there's a shock, it's definitely kind of figure out how to survive it. And then once you kind of survive it, you kind of have set up, a lot more. You kind of been in a position to really succeed, I think.
All right. So, well, Jim, thank you for this information. But at the end, can you please let our viewers know about the biggest piece of advice from your side for other entrepreneurs and the ones who are planning to start their own business?
I think just learn. Just really spend time to learn your business, learn your business models, learn what your competitors are doing, and most importantly, learn what your clients want. Because at the end of the day, like your clients are going to be the one who sign the checks and make the payments. So if they're not happy, you're not going to have business. So just figure out what they want, how to serve them best, and figure out their problems, their pain points, and just really kind of figure out a business model based around solving their pain points. And then, yeah, once you do that, you kind of really got a good business.
Awesome. Awesome. Jim, thank you. Thanks for joining us today. I really enjoyed the conversation and especially few moments were very interesting, like discussing that the problem that was the tariff problem that was not
Yeah, for
discussed in
sure.
our podcast before this. So, well, thank you
Mhm.
for that. On the other hand, can you please let our viewers know how they can reach you if anybody
Yeah,
wants?
for sure. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'm Jim Kennemer. You can reach us at cosmosourcing.com. Just Google Cosmo Sourcing. We come up number one. If you want my direct email, it's jim@cosmosourcing.com. We're on all the socials too. So just Cosmo Sourcing on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. Yeah, Cosmo Sourcing.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Jim, thank you. Thanks for joining us today, and we will stay in touch.
Great. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Bye bye. Have a good day.